Imagine you own a small business that builds and installs custom-made doors for newly built and renovated homes. You're continually in touch with contractors who ask you to inspect homes and to prepare quotes for the doors they want. Once the paperwork is done, you process each order, sending it over to your manufacturing guys. And you make sure each door gets installed properly. Recently, I helped a client who runs just such a business. We set up his OmniFocus to keep track of the 25 to 50 projects he has going on at any one time. It makes for a great case study, so I'll share this setup with you today. I'm Peter Akis, and I teach people how to be more productive. Aside from my free videos right here on YouTube, I also sell 3 productivity courses, one of which teaches a workflow to get stuff done with OmniFocus. Check out my courses over at peterakis.net. Today, I'll dive into the case study of a small business owner whose business builds and installs custom-made doors. How can a business owner like that keep track of all of his projects with OmniFocus? OmniFocus excels in this situation, where there are a lot of simultaneous projects, some of which are active while others are not, and which all have different due dates. So let's get started. So I'm over here in my OmniFocus. On the left, you'll see that I've created a demonstration projects folder, and I'm focusing on it. Focusing is an OmniFocus feature, just to keep it nice and tidy. And I've created a kind of a skeleton of the sorts of folders and single action lists one might have, but really the focus today is going to be on the business folder and on the project templates folder. So we are the businessman who installs doors in newly built homes, renovated homes, right? And he has lots of projects coming in. And these projects usually are pretty much the same in terms of the steps that are needed to complete the project. And because they are the same, we are going to create a project template for it, which is going to be really efficient and save us a lot of time. So I've got my project templates folder open, and I'm just going to create a new project. It's going to be a sequential project. And we're going to make it a sequential project because it only makes sense to do these steps in a certain order. Okay, so this is going to say install doors in contractor home or something like that, or in house. Let's just say in a house, and we're going to rename the template later. So let's start by listing out the steps that this project is going to typically follow. Well, first, if we're the contractor, we're going to get an email or a call from some person, and this person is going to say, listen, I'm building this home at such and such address, and I would like you to come and measure, or I would like you to come and take a look at it, take some measurements, and then send me a quote for how much you're going to charge me to install those doors, okay? So the first thing we're going to do after we get that call is say, schedule a time to go to the house to take measurements. It's the very first step, okay? So that's our first task. Then, after we do that, we're going to say waiting to take the measurements, because what we're going to do is this first task, schedule a time. That may involve calling the contractor. That may involve some other way of scheduling the time. We're going to then put that on our calendar. And while that event, going over there to take the measurements, is on our calendar, we don't need to have any tasks available to us in OmniFocus because there's nothing we can do other than just to wait until we get there, right? We could create a task that says, take the measurements, but it's not something you can really act on because you've scheduled it at a certain time. Does that make sense? So it's already on the calendar, so let's not duplicate it. Instead, we have a task, and we're going to assign a waiting for tag. Now, if you don't know what the waiting for tag is, you can learn all about that in my OmniFocus course. In a nutshell, what it does is it's just a way for us to indicate, hey, I cannot currently move on with this project because I'm waiting for something to happen or for someone else to do something. But in this case, waiting for that moment to happen when I'm going to go in and take those measurements. An alternative way that you could do this, which might make more sense to you, is just to defer this task until the moment that you do. So if your appointment is Thursday at 4, you can say Thursday 4 p.m. and just defer this task until then. Then it makes sense to call it take the measurements. Up to you. Let's leave it like this for now. Up to you which one you want to do. So after you take the measurements, what are you going to do? You're going to say prepare a quote for the contractor, And so preparing quote, maybe that means you sit down at your computer and you do a little math, you write that up in a PDF and you send it. I don't want to go into all the sub steps there, but we could even say prepare and send a quote, because you're always going to do that at the same time, right? So I'm typically not a huge fan of having two tasks in one, task in OmniFocus or in whatever task manager you're using. And the way you can see that is we've got two things in here because it says and, prepare and send. But if you're going to do these things at the same time every time, it's kind of silly to separate them out, right? If you're sometimes going to prepare it but then send it later, in that case, I would say prepare a quote for the contractor and send the quote to the contractor. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so what happens next? Next, we're going to be waiting for the contractor to get back to us and give us the okay. So we'll say waiting for the contractor to give us the okay. And so this one should really have a waiting for tag, okay? And you'll see this is all happening in order, and we'll talk about that more in a second. So when the contractor gives us the okay, the next step is tell my warehouse guys, or I don't know if warehouse is the right word, just say tell my guys to build the door. Maybe the next step is send my guys the spec sheet. Maybe it goes like this. I don't know exactly what order this goes in. Waiting for the door to be built, and then make an appointment or schedule a time to for the guys to install the door. Maybe this is it. Waiting for the door to be built is another waiting for thing that you guys are doing. Okay, you get the point. We have a little template now. This is roughly how it's going to go. How does this template work? Well, first of all, it's a sequential project, right? So only the first task is available right now. If I complete this first task, if I check it off, now the second task becomes available, and so on and so forth, okay? Actually, when I did that, you'll see it's not available right now because I've got it deferred until that time. But if it wasn't deferred, it would show up as available right here. I'm just going to undo that. Okay. Now, this is a template. So we're not going to be actually checking off anything in this instance. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to say, put this on hold. Put this template project on hold. Then every time we get a call or an email from a contractor that says, hey, can you come take a look at this house to take measurements so that you can send me a quote? We're going to duplicate this. So you just right click and duplicate. And then we're going to drag that under business. Okay. And under business, we might want to create a subfolder for like houses. And just put them in there because you may under business also have something like a single action list that's like admin or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So just so that if we have multiple, they're all going to sit in here. Now we're going to set it to active because if we're being called about it, it's an active project that we're doing, right? And when I say project here, I mean like a construction project. So a good way to do this maybe is to say the address. So we can say like 27 Highland Ave. And perhaps we could put the name of the contractor. So we could put like Kowalski 27 Highland Ave. So this is the contractor and this is the address, because what if we have multiple houses, right? Let's duplicate this. Maybe we have 3 houses with Kowalski, right? So we also have 512 Walnut Street, and maybe with Kowalski we also have 112 Maple Street. Okay, so perhaps we have multiple projects. Okay, so for each of these projects, as you're completing your tasks, you're just going to check them off. So you've scheduled a time here. Oh, whoops, I see that our template has the defer date. Definitely do not want the defer date in the template. So let's say we've scheduled the time here too, this is deferred until Friday at 11 a.m. And maybe this one is deferred until Monday. Okay, so you're going to have multiple projects like this. And as you go through them, you just start checking stuff off. And you can always see exactly what the status of each of these houses projects is just by checking them off, right? And this is something that OmniFocus is so good at because it supports the sequential projects. Let's say like let's say I'm here for this one, here for that one, and this one I'm all the way at the end. Okay, so now I can actually see for each project, what is the status? Oh, here for this one, the next step is to send the quote. For this one, the next step is also to send the quote. For this one, I'm waiting for the doors to be built, okay? The next step is to go to your available perspective. Now, if you don't know what the available perspective is, again, that's a great opportunity to enroll in my OmniFocus course. Link is in the description below the video, and you'll learn all about the available perspective and how useful it is. Essentially, what it does is the available perspective shows you all the tasks that make sense to work on right now. So right now, there are 2 tasks that make sense to work on. We've got three house projects right now, but the third one doesn't have anything I can do because I'm waiting for my guys to build the door. I can't do anything right now. So that's not an available thing for, like, the next tag here, or the next task would be to schedule a time for them to install the door, but I can't do that yet. They haven't built it. I don't know when it's going to be done, right? So under available, that doesn't show as something that I can do. What I can do are these 2 tasks that are shown right here. If I check this one off, you'll see that this project goes to a waiting for task again. So in available, now I can only do this thing, right? If the contractor gives the okay, the next task will show as available. So this is a super useful way to see what you can do right now, even if you've got lots of projects. Because you got to imagine, the client that I was working with had like 25 to 50 of these. So it's really hard to keep track of the status of all of those at the same time. But this is a great way to do it. Now, you can also schedule these things for certain days in the future, right? So we can say, for example, let's say that we've got 2 tasks that we can work on right now. If you go under available, you see that there are 2, right? And I say, you know what, I'd like to work on a certain one today. Like, I want to send the quote to the contractor today, but I don't necessarily want to do the other task. So how do we do that? We're just going to apply the next tag. If you don't know about the next tag, watch my video on the next tag, take my course, you're going to learn all about it. What does that mean? Now, if I go to forecast, this one will show here today, send the quote to the contractor, right? So it has the next tag, and I've set OmniFocus up right here to say today shows items with this tag, boom, next. And then those next tag tasks will show up right here. So that's how you can say, I'm going to work on this today. If you want to work on this tomorrow, what you can do is you can defer it until tomorrow, keep the next tag, and then it will show under tomorrow. Just clean that up. You see that now it shows under tomorrow. Today's Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. Okay, just gonna undo that. Now, if you've got a ton of projects here, what you wanna do is, if there's any projects that are currently on hold, so my client was telling me, sometimes the contractor just has a delay, like he's waiting for some other person to do something, or some other business to do something. There's just a 1-month delay, like nothing's going to happen for the next month, or it's on hold indefinitely. Then what you want to do is just take the whole project and just put it on hold. Just put it on hold. And so now, see if it's active, I'll see that send my guys the spec sheet. That's an available task for me to work on. But if I put it on hold and I go to available, it's no longer there. That's because this project is on hold. I could send my guys the spec sheet, but nothing's really happening with this house. Who knows? Maybe the thing will be canceled. So I don't want to work on it right now. I don't want to because I don't know if it's going to happen, right? If it's going to, we're going to continue with the house. So what I did with my client is he had this list of many, many, many houses, but it turns out that like half of them could go on hold. And between making these sequential projects, setting up the project templates, putting them on hold, what we found is that his available perspective, which had at first like 300 tasks that he worked on, really got cut down to way, way, way fewer tasks. So it was much easier for him to see, hey, what actually makes sense for me to work on today? So that's the point there. And those are the key things that I wanted to tell you today. So if you're someone like that, maybe, you're probably your business is a little bit different, but if you got a lot of different projects going on, then use this feature of putting things on hold, right? Make a project template for projects that are roughly the same every time. Use that waiting for tag, right? And all of those things together will just reduce your choice set, will reduce the list of tasks that you see as being available to work on next. Make it easier to choose what to work on next or what to work on today. Now, one bonus tip is for the weekly review. So normally I recommend that you review all of your projects weekly. And in fact, you should download my weekly review cheat sheet. Link to that is in the comments as well, or in the description. And in OmniFocus, the default is that projects get reviewed every week. So here you'll see in the inspector for this project, my next review is a week from today, and it says review every week. So what does that mean? Let's say my next review is today. Then in the review perspective, I'll see this project coming up as for review. And I'm just going to see, does this still make sense? Is everything correct here, right? And I'm going to mark it reviewed. But for projects that are on hold, you don't need to review those every week, right? If something is going to maybe be on hold for a month or 2 months or indefinitely or whatever, you don't want to see it again, have it pop up every week. It's going to make your weekly review more tedious than it needs to be. So you can just change the review frequency. Now you can just say, let's review it in 4 weeks, or review it every 4 weeks. That's totally fine. Until it becomes an active project again. If the contractor calls you back and say, hey, we're back on with 27 Highland Avenue, great. At that point, you put it on active and you can set the review frequency back to 1 week. Final tip, when you set a review frequency, always measure it in weeks. Don't say every month or every year, because a month is not exactly 4 weeks. A year is not exactly 52 weeks. So what's going to happen is you're going to have reviews coming up in the middle of your week rather than having them all come up on the same day, which is what you want. Found that useful? Then check out my other OmniFocus resources. Start by downloading my free OmniFocus weekly review cheat sheet. The link to that is in the description below the video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. In the comments, tell me what you'd like to see me cover in future videos. And for more of this, subscribe to the channel. Ciao!